Alright, let me see. Tier 4. I'm going to need to have all of this stuff right down here because for today we are going to work onto the new steel factory, and getting this stuff along the way is going to be super handy. Alright.
Milestone reached. Logistics can be improved with a larger storage container, enhanced conveyor belt efficiency, as well as the ability to store excess power for later use.
Ooh, that sounds very nice.
Additional project part can now be constructed. Further progress to the next phase is now possible.
Thank you, thank you. Alright, I am pretty much in the mood for today's episode. It's going to be a lot of fun. Now, I have been preparing already for this episode because the last time I explained it to you guys, I would like to unlock the Mark III conveyor belt. I have been adding the Mark III conveyor belt already to the coal mine. I will just show you in a minute all about it. I have also added the Mark III conveyor belt to certain parts which lead to the sink, so the traffic is a little bit faster. So we get a little bit faster coupons. But before going to all that good stuff, I have a couple of comments. The first comment is of JD. JD says, "Great video, JB. Glad to see you planning everything out. That is a mistake I made early on, but now in the process of fixing. The dam looks really cool. Thank you a lot. And even though I tried to plan things out, I know for sure at some point I'm gonna get stuck with things, or I can better say it is going to be a challenge, because I like when you need to think and need to find different solutions. So what I'm talking about is this building down here. A lot of conveyor belt needs to go here. Of course, we have the smart splitter system, which we can implement at some point. But long story short, I think you should always think when you make something big like this, it is never finished off. So what I'm talking about is I had a plan which on the back of this building, I wanted to have a lot of conveyor belts coming in. Now the amount of items that you can make makes it a little bit impossible to get everything from the back coming in, right? So I have been thinking, since everything is unfinished, what I should be doing is make one layer above all of these buildings, an empty room, which gives me the opportunity to put all the conveyor belts on the top rooms, making it come in from the top to the bottom. That is something that I've been thinking about last night, if I'm going to get certain problems, how to solve them. Then Safaricon is saying, "Hi, you connected the light controller the wrong way. That's why it changes all the lights at the same time. If you look at it, it has two connectors, one for the power in and one to connect the lights to, marked with a little lamp. The color code, the brightness setting will be sent out to all the lights connected to this lamp output. So be careful not to connect this side to the main power grid, or all the lights everywhere will receive the light settings. So connect all the lights in one factory together with a cable, but make sure you do not connect them to the power grid. Then connect the subgrid to the lamp's side of the light controller, and then connect the controller to the power grid with the other connector. Now the controller just controls the light in a specific factory and not anywhere else. The other one that you have yet unlocked is the power switch. It's just to turn on and off for the main power grid. I use them to control what factory produces by having separate rooms for the different items that I can turn on and off depending on what items I need at the moment." And then Thomas Jaeger is saying, "I agree with Safaricon. Keep your individual light systems, road, building, etc. on separate power line grids with a controller. You can then set each grid to whatever you like." Thank you guys a lot for the comments. I like to read them, I like to answer them, and they really help out the channel. Now, yes, 2 times I have been doing things wrong, which one of the times I didn't even show you guys what I've been doing, but it was like nighttime, and I sometimes need to remember myself to take time to look at the new item, which in this case I didn't do, so I just connected stuff up and then made the mistake of everything was being controlled by one. So I just wanted to show you that I now have learned. Thank you guys for that, because it makes sense. This is for the lamp and we'll only control the lamps. This is just for the power to, power it. So in this case, if I would change the green one to red, then nothing else get affected by that. So that's very good. I learned my lesson down here. Okay, so in the last episode I have been saying that between I would like to unlock this guy down here. I only need 200 of these and 100 of these, which I can just easily make in here. I have been grabbing coal from like the coal storage that I had left, and then I just went through the machines to the miners to just grab some iron. It did take a long time because I was also upgrading the conveyor belt to Mark III, which I have been upgrading them all the way toward the end, and at some point I kind of forgot that once you upgrade something, you're gonna get resources back of the old material. And what I've also been doing right down here is I've been upgrading this to Mark III, so it goes a lot faster. And now I'm looking again at these resources at this crash site down here. I actually went back to the crash site over there, and there were no extra resources. There were some extra resources at the last crash site where I grabbed some stuff, and the one near the dam. It might have something to do with certain render distance. Sometimes items will spawn back and sometimes not. And I haven't really noticed if it spawns back when I just re-enter the area or when I just reload the save after closing the game. Long story short, in here I have been building an extra machine so it goes extra fast, or else, stuff is just, laying around. And I was like, yeah, let's just give the sink an upgrade. Which in this case, we now get plus minus 8,000 per minute, which at first was between 4,000 and 6,000 a minute. I've also been upgrading the other sinks just to, have a faster flow. Now, I have been upgrading the mine with an overclock system, which max is like 270. I'm not sure. I wanted to say if I overclocked it precisely to save up a little bit of power. No, this is perfectly what I need, because 2 times 120 is 240. Why did I do that? Well, then I can actually demolish the old power. Meanwhile, I was walking through the power system and I was walking this part. I was like, I need to be so careful not missing anything for an upgrade, because or else the whole system will go janky, and by the look of it, I've missed a part down here. So I think for the better good is that I'm going to check out the whole conveyor belt once more, and if needs, upgrade it. There we go, that's a lot better. I guess you can also see at the end if there are like gaps between in, because that basically means something is missing. But to come back to the story, that factory we're going to break down. We're going to use its coal production and or all of these iron mines that we got down here to make our starting steel factory right down here. I want to keep a little bit of space down here for the cat room ore for later on, and the steel factory production can go up in here, then go up and over, just like I explained before. I want to have one layer left so I can have all these conveyor belts go to the roof over there and then connect up to the storage areas. And meanwhile, well, last night I was thinking about this whole planning ahead. I was thinking maybe I should have like a small storage fortress all over the map, which, long story short, if this would be the whole map, then it means that, for example, right down here I now have my build where I'm at right now. Now, if I'm messing around here or there, I'm going to need to have stuff. I have to go all the way back, which is a little bit of a bummer. So what I eventually would like to do, besides having a future city down here, I want to have like a middle point where I'm going to put all of the resources towards to, and anything that overflows will split up in 3 ways. Goes to the future city, goes to another fortress, and then go to another fortress. These fortresses are going to be a small build, just storage area. Gonna be super simple builds. Going to be all based on efficiency rather than beauty. Of course, I will try to do my best to make it look something special, of course. Okay, so far so good. It seems like the whole conveyor belt from the miner up to this splitter down here has conveyor belt Mark III, which means 240 is gonna go on this guy and then split up to 120 for this guy, which means now I can add another piece of conveyor belt and then use the other 120 to make the exact same idea near it. Alright, everything seems to be running well. I have added another whole section what I've been building before all the way up to this side. And yes, I actually got some trouble, which at the end was kind of funny though. So I've been messing around and then I needed to remove a conveyor belt, and then you get coal in your inventory, which, you know, is annoying because you don't want it in the inventory. So I quickly went to one of the coal power plants to transfer the coal in my inventory, and apparently what I did was added the last 3 power slugs also to the coal power plant. So then you can guess, at the moment I was ready to put the power slugs into this water machine, I was like, where in the world are they? I went all the way back to check out some storage areas and whatnot, and then all of a sudden it popped up in my head, yes, I think I know where they're at. Now another silly thing, and this is what I was talking about at the beginning of the episode, is that I needed to check out all of these conveyor belts that they are upgraded, because if not, it's gonna be a big problem at some point, which for whatever reason, after I was trying to find the power slugs, I actually clicked on to one of the generators just for whatever reason I did, and then I seen there was only one more coal in here, and I seen the power, the gray line, I seen it like roller coastering, and I was like, no, what in the world is going on? So then I discovered that this guy was not upgraded to Mark III, which explained why, you know, everything got slow in here, since it's also splitting up that way. But in this case, it is now all running fine and well. So let's check. Yep, we got 1800 megawatt power. Of course, we are not going to enjoy that for long, because we're going to shut this guy down. It was a very, very fun first lesson on how, you know, all this stuff works. But let's just disconnect this guy. If I'm not wrong, that should be it. Yep, it is now disconnected from the main power grid, and in this case we're going to use all of that good coal along with the iron to make our very first fuel factory. Now it is a shame that I ran all the way down here before actually showing you guys another thing, that I have also unlocked something very smart, which I definitely going to need to place some of these guys down. And these are the power storage thing, because these guys will store 100 megawatts, and the 100 megawatts can be used for 1 hour in case of a shutdown or when we use too much power, which is super handy. Because if I need to shut down the whole coal power production for whatever reason, I can just continue on these guys for 1 hour only. And of course, if I use 1200 megawatts, I'm going to need to have 12 of these things on one line. But as you can see on the right bottom, they will cost 5, whatever that is, statter, which costs steel and that kind of stuff. So yeah, I'm going to have this stuff ASAP. And with that being done, this is now closed off. So once again, let me get my butt to work. It is a fantastic view from here, ain't it? Man, I'm really making some progress down here, and I really wonder how it's going to look like in about 50 episodes from now. The first thing that you can see is that I have made a new conveyor belt road for the coal, along with the idea that I can bring other stuff onto what I like to call conveyor belt highway. So I have some space right down there for the silver mine, which we sooner or later also going to need, and then I'm going to connect it up to this guy, and then it's going to go along to the town that way, or I'm going to make another part going this way and then that way towards the town. I really like this idea of this highway. It is very simple, and or I can also transfer power very easily, and yes, I might need to connect it on a better way, but for now it is fine as it is. Along the way building this, I came across another couple of little notes, but long story short, the coal is having now a very nice road, which is gonna go all the way down here. And I also connected up some copper, which I also found along the way. And these highways are giving me a very good view of what is in the surrounding, because even though I knew there were some iron nodes here, I didn't know there were a couple ones right down there, and or I get a better idea of what is more in the surrounding area, like some more limestone, which I can definitely use at some point. So down here some more iron, and I found a cave entrance. I did not went into it, even though I have my enemy aggression onto passive, because in this area I just cannot be bothered to, you know, be attacked all the time and spend a lot of time on killing these guys. So I think it's the best for now. Of course, once we go further into unknown area, I will just turn it back on, get my butt scared off by whatever is there. I also have there another copper mine, which I want to connect or either this way or either that way, and then go along via the other side to the town, because I don't want to have everything going the same way. I want everything to be efficient as much as I can do. I have a lot of foundation down here because apparently there's like a big crack down here into the ground, also leading maybe to a cave. Maybe it leads up to the entrance there, or there's another entrance there. I don't want to figure that out for now. So I got here copper going up, and then it's along with the coal. And then as you can see there on the right side, I have continued the piece of road and the conveyor belt highway. And then along here it goes around the corner. Now this is the only part where things get a little tricky, because I need to think about what is going where and why it is going where. But I'm going to take care that it's going to look nice also in the future. This road here is going to go up to where is apparently the other copper mine, which I forgot about, which is okay. It's going to go there and maybe split up down there where the old factory is, and then maybe have like a possibility to go that way. I'm not sure yet. Well, maybe I am sure that at some point I'm going to, you know, have like also off-road possibilities, but depending on like what is down here, I might just continue like a small road going there. Maybe. And then from this point, this will later on be made a little bit nicer, because between in the road will be like, let's say, the last buildings from the town. I'm not planning on to build anything there just yet. I got a lot more to build along this way. I got a lot more to build in the middle, and you know, when the factory is gone, I got tons of space. Now this town here is something that just need to be ignored for now, because you know, it looks fishy, and there's also a possibility for another connection going through, and that one will probably go on top of this guy. But long story short, I've also been building the factory, which is for now just like a easy placement to say, like, it's not looking too fancy, because later on I also want to change certain bits and pieces depending on when I have like enough steel to do so, because I want to have it like different skins and so. And down here I had like an idea maybe to place something out here, maybe, but this like this pathway is just ending up, and then I would like place a fence here. Then I came to the idea later on I want to continue this pathway and just make like a little dock at the lake there, just for fun. Yeah, but long story short, copper is going in, coal is going in. And then here I have like 2 doors for role-playing trucks and whatnot. Here's a little alleyway I was talking about at one point. Stuff is gonna go over, and then between in these walls it's gonna go to the storage area or elsewhere. I just have to see. Certain things you can plan out, other things you cannot really plan out and have to do it later on. There will be another piece of building in the front of this building to make it look nice, and then on this side I have all the buildings that I want, and anything else will just be as it is. This down here, I grabbed the idea I had from what I did on the pathway out there. Like I just placed it like these roof pieces, and then I was like, hey, we can just use that with glass in order to, you know, have this. I think it looks very nice. And then one entrance here. Now as you can see, I have tons and tons of space, and that is really going to be needed because I'm going to need to do a lot of stuff in here, and I will just show you along the way what I mean with that. And or I just got this down here open because I'm going to need to connect up all of these iron things, which I got a couple down here. That iron too. Like, what is this weird ground here? This is a rocky ground, I guess. Now, like I said, the skin will change also the foundation. It just depends on when I got enough steel to do so. Now, I would just like to place 2 things down, which gives me a better... this guy, that guy, like better examples of what we need to do here. And of course, I believe a foundry, which I need... Yes. Alright, this guy, I got 1 of it, and here I can make the steel ingot. It's 3 on 3, which is just a nice number. Now, with this normal one, the normal constructor, I can make the steel beam, and I can make steel pipes. Just very simple. Anything else? Nothing else. Okay, so this guy, 100% in here, and or we can send stuff out to the storage. Now, for this guy, we have this one, which requires limestone. Which now I'm thinking of it, I have a couple of spots on the highway which I could eventually use that 3rd window what I showed before. Actually for the limestone, that might be a good idea. Eventually I should have some other limestone spots, maybe around, I believe it was over the trees over there. Yeah, I got some more limestone there, and maybe over there in the corner. I could also bring that down here so I can keep the highway free for now, for the more important parts. So that will be settled too. Then we have this guy here. This guy here needs copper. That's why I made this whole copper conveyor belt. And along with the rotor, these 2 guys, I'm going to need to make motor. Now for this stuff here, I'm going to need to make a rotor factory / motor factory. That is my idea, to actually place that maybe right down over here, the motor and the rotor, because it's near the steel which we make these. So the stators will be made in here, then go to the other side, which rotors will be made, and then together they will be made into motor. Okay, there we go. And then of course we got this guy down here, which is needed for the end goal, along with this guy. So there is still a lot to do in order to get complete phase 2. You know, to be real honest, I'm overwhelmed at this point, because I've been thinking, like, how many of these things am I going to need for the whole show? And I was kind of getting a little bit stuck. Then I all of a sudden had in my mind, you know what, maybe I need to try to max out. What can I get from the coal mine? Steel ingots are being made right now. That is going to be needed, because I'm going to need to have a lot of the steel beams in order to upgrade the existing coal conveyor belt up to a Mark III. Because here is the thing, I am going to need to have 45 coal per minute, right? The conveyor belt Mark III can handle 270 coal per minute, right? And if I'm not wrong, I can make 6 of these foundries which can make steel ingots if I keep it with 270. So now I have a starting point. So I can just make 6 of these guys out here, and from that point of on I can create whatever I'm going to need to create. It is the next day in real life for me, which is not a bad thing, because this will give me a refreshed mind after having a good sleep. I felt a little bit tired yesterday in order to see what I needed to do, but I now figured things all out, and I'm going to show you all about it. So as you can see right down here, I have been making towers because I needed the transport conveyor belt all the way from this side to the other side. I think I like it like this, just gives something refreshing to look at, even though I said I don't want to have any buildings here. This was kind of necessary to make it look a bit nice. And I'm kind of lucky down here because I just have 8 of these miners, which all give like 30 each. And I needed to overclock one of these miners, so that is okay. I now have 270 iron going into the building, along with 270 coal ore. Now this is how it looks from this view, all nice and lined up. Maybe I could have set it up a little bit better, but I don't want to have like concrete and stuff everywhere. I think it's fine for now. They're all facing that direction though. Now, meanwhile, meanwhile I tried to get asleep, I was also thinking about like, what am I going to do with the whole situation with the steel factory and or the other stuff that also needs to be done with. I'm talking about the older factory right down there, because there are a couple of things that need to be moved over to this area. For an example, the rotors need to be moved over because rotors along with stators are motors, and I would like to have the factory near here. I've been thinking about it, and I'm just gonna agree with the fact that I think it's the best idea to make motors right down here somehow, some way. And so on and so on. I'm going to need to move certain stuff over, and I'm going to need to give this here a very good thought on how am I going to plan certain things out. So each of these guys gonna give me a 45 per minute. Yeah, okay, I can have perfectly 45 per minute, which gives me this amount of steel beams, which I can use for storage area and building with those steel beams for all of the Mark III conveyor belt. Now, of course, we're also going to need to have piping, and the steel pipes are going to require 30 per minute. Now, in this case, I could say, let's take 2 of these guys, then connect them up. I'm gonna get 90 per minute, and 90 per minute I can split up into 3 for the piping. And what I'm just gonna do right down here, I'm just gonna go to architecture. The thing is, there are different ways in order to make it yourself easy. If it's about like calculating what do you need, what are you going to use. I'm just going to say these 2 guys are now set. Let's just first start off with the piping and then like the steel beams. So this stuff is set. 2 of these guys are being used. Now, one of these is gonna go to storage area. Let's just keep that in mind. Then I have 2 left. And from the 2 that I got left, we could say one of these, if that will work out. I think it's the best if I just keep one here. Just, you know, I get a better idea. So I'm just gonna fix it all. Just trying to make it myself easier, and then what I can do once again is grab one of these and then just place this guy right out here. So one is in use. Then let's see, this guy is giving 20 per minute. Then if we would take a stator, we're going to need 15 per minute, which I guess is okay. We can just overclock and just, you know, take a little bit extra, and you know, wires doesn't really matter for now. Which if I add this guy, then I rather would say if I have to choose between 20.1 per minute or 19.95 per minute, then I'd rather choose this one, because then I'll never run out. And if I do 20.1, at some point I run out on one, and then the flow will be broken down, something like that. I guess that is okay. If not, then let me know what I should be doing. But you can imagine if I need to, you know, max out on this, I'm going to need to have 30 per minute, which basically means with this guy, I'm going to need to have 2 of these guys, then split one up into this one to go to there. And then I got 10 more left, right? That is the other idea I could do. Now, there is one thing that I am going to need to do for the sake of having a good conveyor belt transportation towards the storage area. I'm going to need to keep my hands off the steel factory for right now, because if I would mess around with advanced stuff that needs to be above the basic stuff, I might mess things up for a bit if it's about making spaghetti conveyor belt stuff. Which, long story short, what I mean by that is I'm going to need to add certain basic things right down here, like concrete needs to go here, copper wire needs to go here, normal wire needs to go here, and all the stuff, basically what I'm producing right now at the old factory, is going to need to be connected first. And then I can move on to have production that needs to go right in here, like the steel stuff and atom ore, that you know. So what I guess would be a good plan for Flash is also the next episode is that we are going to break down the whole factory down here and give everything its own spot. I will think about where I can put what I can put where. I have a couple of ideas, and then, you know, if you guys have some ideas, feedback, want to share something, then let me know down below in the comment section, and then I might surprise you guys where I want to have this big guy right down here. There's a couple of things. It's just wiring, concrete, copper plating. Upstairs it's the rotor, which already will be moved up. Not forget reinforced plating. And oh yeah, we also have this stuff out here. Oh boy, I got a lot of things to do.